But I do want to talk to you for a moment about being bought or sold, because I'm quite convinced that there are many in our society who would stand up and speak up if it wasn't the complete undoing of everything about them. In other words, if you are leveraged to the hilt, in other words, if you are in debt, the Bible makes it very clear that the borrower is, what's the word? Slave.
Hello friends, welcome once again to the YouTube channel. You are here with Pastor James Devalan, and this is Pastor Ronkelly. This is the second message on his YouTube channel since he has been placed on administrative leave, which was, I think, December 3rd. Don't quote me on that. So it's interesting because he's been quiet for a while. Now, he did write a letter to the church that was spoken about and read in a town hall meeting that took place at least a week and a half ago. But the man hasn't really said too much. And the last time he spoke, he called for prayer because of what's happening. So here are some updates. And I think this is refreshing to hear from Pastor Ronkelly with all the controversies that's happening. I have been praying for this man. I have been praying for him and as well as Dr. Conrad Vine, because I'll be honest with you, it pains me what's happening at the Village SDA Church. It pains me. But I think God has a plan, and God always has a plan. God overrides even human plans as well. So nothing is happening here that the Lord is not aware of, is not caught by surprise. And I think whatever's going on here with all that situation is ultimately it falls right within the framework of God's will. So we're gonna have to learn how to trust the Lord. For the past couple of days, I wasn't feeling too good, but I'm recovering, so I still gotta. My voice is still not the best. Anyway, let's take a listen to Pastor Ronkelly on this video, and we'll share some thoughts at the end.
Hello, friends. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel, and thank you for the prayers and the words of encouragement and support. My courage is strong. My faith is continuing to grow, and I have perfect peace that Jesus is in charge of his church. I want to thank you for the prayers for my family, especially my mother. She's doing much better and hopefully will be out of the hospital soon. There was a moment in time when her life really did hang in the balance, but God's delivered us from that grief as well. I want to thank you for reaching out to me. If I haven't gotten back to you, please pardon me. I'm so thankful for the volume of support that's been shown me, and I still haven't caught up with the text and the emails that have been sent to me. I'm so very thankful. I'm not sharing a lot right now about what's gone on in my situation because I'm still hoping that behind the scenes, the church can do a better job of solving this problem than it's been done so far. In time, if necessary, we'll talk about more of it. In the meantime, I want to encourage you to watch a series of sermons that I preached a few years ago entitled True Men Wanted. It's based on that quotation from the book Education, page 57. The greatest want of the world is the want of men who cannot be bought or sold, men who in their inmost souls are true and honest, men who do not fear to call sin by its right name, men who are as true to duty as the needle to the pole, men who will stand for the right though the heavens fall. This is the great need of our age, it's the great need of our society, and it's certainly the great need of our church. I encourage you to watch and pray. Don't lose courage. Remember, this is God's church. He is our leader. And while we have to work through problems with each other, he still sits on the throne, attending his church. May God bless you. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you'll watch this series of sermons and be blessed. And may God show you what to do, and may you be strong and gracious in the doing of it. God be with you, and thank you for tuning in.
The man looks good. The man sounds good, and yeah, this is good news, man. I love to see stuff like this. You know, you can tell when God is up to something. Look at this. The man has only released 2 videos. He's already at 10,000 subscribers. You know what this means? He has a tremendous amount of support in Adventism. And this is just the few who know about him. So we promote his contents here. We're going to link his channel in the description below. You know, there's a lot we can say about what's happening in the church today, and I will play an excerpt of his sermon at the end. All right, at this time, I would like to make reference to this letter that was posted by the Michigan Conference, it tells me a lot. And the reason I'm sharing this is because, in all my praying and hoping that Pastor Ronkelly will be reinstated, I'm beginning to believe now that's probably not going to happen. I explained to you why, and I think it's still part of God's will anyway. I do not lose hope or heart, but I think what's happening here, God allows it to happen for a reason. So now, this letter was sent by the Michigan Conference to cancel the religious Liberty Weekend, which tends to take place every year around this time, if I'm not mistaken, at the Village SDA Church. They've been doing this for a while. That was canceled. So Tariq Patel received a letter from the Michigan Conference. Due to current circumstances and challenges, we request the cancellation of the Religious Liberty Weekend event scheduled for January. So this is the conference telling a local church, you must not have these meetings. So I thought that right there is like, whoa. So I would like to know the reasons, right? So it says, in the past, I've encouraged the leadership of Village SDA Church to align its ministry with our call out objectives, the everlasting gospel, and the shared mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Events like religious liberty are opportunities to strengthen faith and to promote unity as we anticipate the soon return of Jesus. True. He went on to say, it is essential to carefully examine how we, as a church body, relates to the topic concerning, there goes the word. And I tell people before, it's always been about this. The Ronkelly situation, Dr. Vine's protests, the banning of Dr. Vine in all these different places in the church, and the way Ronkelly has been placed on administrative leave. And I tell people he's been terminated. He's been fired. Okay. But anyway, he's been placed on administrative leave. It's all about this. And it's connected to the reaffirmation statement. And we can do a whole lot of talking. I got some more videos where I will be addressing this sometime today. And religious liberty before moving forward, we are told. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation as we work together. So let me see if I can get this. It is essential to carefully examine as we, as a church body, relate to the topic concerning pestilence. I mean, I thought that was already, the Village SDA Church, do they need to re-examine that position? Because I think the Village Church has been a shining light during a time of darkness when many churches have either given to the fear and went along with the government mandate. This was the one church that stood up, and I commend Jim Mitchell for this, because during that time there was pressure coming from the top, and you could tell he was under pressure, and yet he withstood all that pressure and continued to allow the Village SDA Church to do what they were supposed to be doing, which is actually what he's supposed to do anyway. It's not like he's giving them an opportunity. This is not how it's supposed to work. It's not supposed to be top-down power. It's supposed to be that bottom-up. But I think a lot of changes has happened over the years, and it's a bit scary to say the least. So I don't know what needs to be evaluated here, but I have a lot of question about that. I think that position was already cleared. The church do not promote it, but at the same time, the church must protect liberty of conscience. It's one of those things, right? It's more like a neutral position in a sense. So for reference, we are told, and again, this is quoting here from the church manual, ordained pastors are not charged with administrative power as is the president, but they cooperate with him in carrying out the plan and plans and policies of the conference. Boy. So another quotation coming from the church manual, page 32, the conference president is the chief elder or overseer of all the churches. He works for their spiritual welfare and counsels and counsels them regarding their activities and plans. He has access to all the churches and their services, business meetings, and boards. He may, by virtue of his office, preside over any meeting of any church. The conference president does not have the authority to set aside the duly elected offices of the church. Thank God for that little line. But will work in cooperation with them. I really hope so, because I think if we were to follow the church manual carefully, and again, these are policies, they can fluctuate and everything, I understand that. If we were to follow the church manual carefully and some of the principles outlined, Pastor Ronkelly will not have been placed on administrative leave. I'm just going to say that and move on. They in turn are bound in recognition to the of the ties in the conference fellowship, to counsel with him over all that pertain to the welfare of the church. They should not attempt to exclude him from a proper charge of his duty. Exactly. Of course, we work in concession with the conference leader, the president. He can oversee and step into any situation and have an opinion and stuff like that. But remember now, he cannot make decision in spite of the church position. He cannot override that authority. He cannot choose for the people. He cannot say you can remain or be fired just because we want that. That's where we have an issue. And I think when you examine what's happening in the light of the ronkelly situation, it does seem like the heavy hand of power has been exercised rather than the voices of the people, because the people did say, we don't agree with the termination of ronkelly. We think Dr. Vine should be left alone. They voiced their opinion and voted against it. So when the conference says we're going to do it anyway, that violates these very same principles right there, right? The conference does not have the authority to set aside the duly elected officers of the church. Well, by the decision to get rid of the people's opinion, therefore, that principle is violated right there. And again, we can fight about this all day, all night. What I'm trying to say is simply this: irrespective of the way the leaders of the church might feel about Pastor ronkelly, Dr. Vine, they have to take into consideration the vote of the people in the pews. They have to respect the board. They have to respect the business. They have to respect the leadership of the church. In some cases, they have to go along with the voices of the people, even though they may not agree on certain issues. That's how much authority is in the church. The power is with the people, not at those at top. The power that those on top have has been delegated to them by the people. All right? That's the same way the United States government is supposed to work, but you know how that goes, right? Anyway, let's not even go there. Anyway, so I think Pastor ronkelly video was a refreshing indeed. And again, Fulcrum 7 is out there, already has a thought, which he's probably not wrong about that, right? The interim pastor, Tariq Patel, met with the elders and pastors, discussed the edict from the conference. Patel decided to grant Jim Mitchell's request to cancel religious liberty meetings in spite of unanimous opposition from elders present. This is where that quotation was violated right there. It is that simple of a thing. I can actually read it and see the violation. That tends to be the problem. So that's why I said from the start of my video, I'm just not sure if my man Pastor ronkelly is gonna be reinstated again. Because it seems like the decision has been made from the very top, and it's been done despite the perspective of the church. And whether or not I agree with it or not, I'm just saying that it might be time for Pastor ronkelly to start preaching the word. It's just using that YouTube channel, which he has a number of sermons that he made reference to. And I will say, you guys want to take a listen to some of these sermons. I will be going through the archives myself throughout the week and share some segments with you. I want to make sure I take it for myself. Sometimes I share things that I haven't really fully indulged, when this time I have to step back and go back and indulge it myself so that I can share with others. So yeah, Truman wanted Shadow. He calls down the showdown maker. So is addressing a number of things here, and we have to go through the archives to see what's going on here. There's at least 4 different sermons. So I'm going to say you wanna find these sermons. I can link this in the description so that you guys can find it. So let's take a segment from that, and then we're gonna close this video.
And he was talking about our societal woes. He said to me, Pastor, they can't hurt my bottom line because I'm already at the bottom. And it's true. Instead of cashing in on his wonderful ability to demand a high income, he's instead taken full advantage of the priceless opportunity to take his benefits and see them as indebtedness to a less benefited society around him. But I do want to talk to you for a moment about being bought or sold, because I'm quite convinced that there are many in our society who would stand up and speak up if it wasn't the complete undoing of everything about them. In other words, if you are leveraged to the hilt, in other words, if you are in debt, the Bible makes it very clear that the borrower is, what's the word? Slave to the lender. And so it doesn't matter to me if you're at the top of the pack making a huge income. You can spend it faster than you make it. But especially for those health professionals who've been doubly blessed and have taken on probably more than doubly their share of responsibility to get to the place where they can bless, great gratitude for them. But for all of those individuals who see the revenue stream drying up, and that's the decisive decision-making factor, I'm here today in the name of Jesus Christ to lay down a challenge. But for all the rest of us who live right out at the outer fringes of what comes in, what does that do to us when we need to really say, you know what, I've appreciated working here, but I can't appreciate it to the point to where I watch this organization run over the rights and the privileges of formerly faithful people. You can have your job back. I'm done.
Wow. How prophetic was that sermon, at least for him? You know, friends, we're going to lay these matters in God's hands. I really believe the Lord in the end has the final say. This is a good man. I love this man. I've learned to appreciate the man. The controversy has created a love in my heart for him. I really appreciated his sermons in the past. Now I really love his messages. So I think that's one positive thing. And again, when you get 10,000 subscribers before you even preach a single word on your YouTube channel, it tells you a lot as well. And the fact God allowed all this to happen, it may be true that Romans chapter 8:28 is being fulfilled here. That in the end, that all things will work together for good to them that love God and to them who are the called according to his purpose. So I pray that we will pray and continue to keep him in prayer, as well as Dr. Vine. And we pray that the protest continues as well, but we also pray for the Michigan Conference and as well as the Village SDA Church, that they will come to a place where they can put their minds together. So I would like to say this final thing. In the best case scenario, the Michigan Conference can decide we're going to reinstate Ronkelly, right? And we are going to allow Dr. Vine to speak and preach and then counsel the man on some things that can be said and cannot be said and hug each other. That might be one of those things that I will say I can work with that. Somewhere in the middle is the idea that says, you know what? We're going to reinstate Pastor Ronkelly and no Dr. Vines whatsoever, and we're just going to move on from there. Now, the next one, I would say the worst case scenario could also be that we're going to keep Pastor Ronkelly off the pulpit, Dr. Vine off our pulpits. We're going to keep the ban on Vine, and Ronkelly is officially terminated. And then Tariq Patel, which is a good man also, is going to serve as the pastor for now until they find someone else to replace him. What will be the outcome of some of these things, right? So imagine you go with the worst case scenario. The outcome will be greater division in the church. The outcome will be serious, serious opposition in the Village SDA Church. I don't want to see that. But it looks like that's where this is going. If there is a forgiveness in reinstating of Dr. and Pastor Ronkelly and Dr. Vine is restored, I think that is the best solution. Because at the end, even the church might be willing to work with Jim Mitchell, and they will still be able to work out their issues. But I think if these men are not reinstated, it's going to be very hostile. And Jim Mitchell is going to have a hard time working with these churches. There is going to be tension in the air. even if some members choose to forgive, but others who do not, there's going to be division. I don't want to see that. I would love to see forgiveness and the reinstatement of both men. But if this is not the will of God, I say God's will be done. Let's keep this matter in prayer, and let's continue to support liberty of conscience and stand for the men who are standing for it. Until next time, have a good one. Bye.